American soldier Joe, obviously very skilled in martial arts, single-handedly takes on mercenaries in the Philippines. This episode still holds up. We're doing 1985 action thriller American Ninja. Let's get into it.
Fuck yeah.
For 2,000 years, the sacred art of the ninja has been guarded in the East.
Remember the day I found you.
Now, it has come to the West.
Remember what is hidden deep in your mind.
He is the only soldier,
Date of birth, unknown.
the only American
Who is he?
who is capable of defeating the secret Black Star Army. The mission to hijack a U.S. military arsenal.
Your destiny, my son, awaits you.
The adventure. The confrontation. The code.
I will honor the code, Father.
The invasion. The final hour. The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American. American Ninja.
About that. You can't go wrong with LaFontaine giving you a trailer like that with that voice. You got a whole.
I bet you most of the budget for this movie was in the trailer just to hire that guy.
Well, the movie had $1 million budget. They made $10 million. Can you believe that? They made $10 million.
I believe it. I believe
mean,
it. Look. I don't. And of all the movies we're about to do, there's no movie more 80s than this movie right here.
Yeah, we're gonna let's give a little backstory why American Ninja here. Okay, for me growing up, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, those age groups, Saturdays in New York. I don't know about how it was here in LA. You wake up, you do your Saturday morning cartoons, right?
Right.
Saturday morning cartoons fade away. You do your little Saved by the Bell. Then I used to do a little wrestling on Fox 5. That's what it was, a little WWF back then on Fox 5. Then I would go into, I did a lot of consuming of television. That's how I was raised. Anyway, the next portion of the day went from Knight Rider and A-Team and then close out with Airwolf, right?
Right. It's like you're in my bedroom right now.
Okay. So now all those are done now. You've had breakfast. You've already had lunch. Now, for me, Channel 11 was WPIX, right? Which is now the CW that gives all those teeny bopper, Marvel, X, whatever, DC, Flash and stuff like that, right? I don't watch any of those things. But that's what it is now. But back then, that's where you would get your Yankees games and you would get Saturday movies, like classic 80s movies. I'm talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicles, Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, Michael Dudikoff. Occasionally you would get a Stallone, or on a really good Saturday you would get like a Rocky or Rambo or
You've just
Schwarzenegger, right?
You've just named so many other movies that I would have rather done than this one.
No, I know, but but for me, when I was a kid, one of the things I loved was when they had the American Ninjas on there, okay?
Right.
Because at the time, I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, and back then, in the early 90s, we're talking about here, ninjas and karate. This is when Tiger Showman's karate was getting really popular. Karate was the thing with kids, right? Especially, well, at least everybody I knew. So
I've seen the Karate Kid.
Yeah,
I also still
all the
follow
stuff.
up on it with Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai is actually really good.
It's amazing, actually.
So that's why this was one of my favorites. So I hadn't seen these movies in 30 years probably. So what better place than still holds up to see how American Ninja, they made 5 of these now. We're probably only going to do the one, but let's see how this
goes. We might want to do the second one. It's funny because I know that I've seen this movie at least 2 or 3 times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Rewatching it right now, I don't remember a single thing in this movie.
Same
so
thing.
It makes me feel that my mind was like, you know what? You definitely don't need this piece of information. Let's push this out and put something in here that's actually meaningful.
Something that's going to actually do something for you in your life.
But look, this is one of those movies that it's so bad. It's so bad it becomes good.
Yeah.
Like there's a fine line where it's like it's a good movie or it's a bad movie. But if you go past the bad and you enter the realm of like laughable
1980s,
it becomes
action,
good again.
It's good.
And there's so many moments in here where you're like, I would put this on just not for the action. I would put this on to laugh.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
WTF
not what they were
moments, right?
clearly going for back then.
Yeah.
But let's get into this. Let's just go.
So the movie actually has a 5.4 rating on IMDb, which kind of goes to your thing. It's like right in the middle. It's really bad but good. There's something there, right?
Right.
Whether you're gonna enjoy it I call it a period piece for action.
It's a piece, all right.
Because at the time, a lot of the movie is typical 80s, down to the yellow title treatments, the really slow fighting sequences and the really slow deaths and pauses and the choreography, and it's very 80s, right?
Yes, it is.
It's starring.
Hold on a second. I need to look this up really fast because there's and I almost pulled this music. In the opening scene for the music, there's a bunch of brass playing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like this kind of serious. It's the typical 80s.
Oh yeah. Riff.
But it also feels like it should be a TV show. But
Okay.
there's like a saxophone playing. And like all of a sudden it just goes into a lead like rap like randomly out of nowhere in the song. And like I'm sorry, I could stop laughing. I meant to look up who actually did the music for this. While you're talking, go.
Okay.
Because I didn't, and
no
I
problem.
didn't make sure I do that.
So it's the director was Sam Firstenberg.
Okay.
Movie's 1985. It's starring soft-spoken James Dean of the 80s, Michael Dudikoff.
Oh man, it's so soft spoken.
He is very
There's a reason why I think he says one line in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I think out of all the stuff that we pulled for this, he's in a second of one of the pulls. Maybe. I could be wrong.
Dude, the movie starts with, he's throughout the whole movie, right? He's the star of the movie. He doesn't say a word until 15 minutes into the movie. So it's a lot of James Dean staring throughout this. It's also starring, typical 80s wingman, sidekick Steve James as Curtis Jackson. The female lead was Judie Aronson, who plays Patricia, the colonel's daughter. It has Philip Brook as, I would say, comic relief Charlie. John, I'm going to butcher this, Fujuka as Shineki, basically Joe's adopted father. Tadashi Yamashita as Black Star Ninja, and Don Stewart as the French speaking Spanish named Ortega. It was very weird.
Ortega.
Victor Ortega. But it sounds
like
French.
he's from French.
Yes.
France. Whoops. Hold on a second. So back really quick.
Yeah.
Music was done by Michael Lynn.
Okay.
And
anything knowable in his
what's funny because it says he's a composer for American Ninja, but all the other stuff that he has on here, he's just sound department and music editor. So it's like I don't know if it doesn't seem like he
Did
composed
anything
a lot
other
of
than
stuff.
Okay.
Looking him, skin him.
Oh, so you're telling me he got replaced in American Ninja 2? Oh,
I don't see him in American Ninja 2.
yeah, they
Actually,
replaced him.
Wasn't really looking.
But to me, the music was typical 80s, and I had no problem with it. Like, the only 80s thing I wish that they didn't have a typical 80s montage. Like, I was expecting one, maybe, well, they had the little mini one where he was talking about when he was training as a young lad in the jungle, but let's move on.
Let's please. What are the reviews? What did you already do that?
Yeah, we touched on that.
We did touch on that, but Siskel and Ebert didn't do one, right?
No, I couldn't find
Yeah,
anything.
I looked
on
also, I
them,
couldn't find it.
But like you said, it's a.
What were the other movies that were out around this time?
Oh, 1985.
Yeah, what movies came out? What was okay? Did you pull a thing for what it did in the box office?
Yeah, it did 10 million.
Right, but who was in the box?
1 million budget.
What
so
movies
that's
came
pretty
out
good.
at the same time?
There's a ton of movies came out in 1985. You want to list
No,
some
but I
movies
need,
came out
I
in
need the
1985?
month, man. I need to know what the competition was.
Oh, the competition?
Yeah.
Okay, this came out in August of 1985.
Okay.
A smooth 95-minute runtime. But who comes out with who? Let's see.
Let me see right now. Let me look at this. Let me look at this one. This. Ooh, this looks good.
What movies came out in August of 1985?
Back to the Future came out in so it's in the box office. That came out on July 3rd.
Yeah, that's not even close. I mean, there's a ton of great movies that come out.
What do you mean it's not close? What July is for what month?
This was August.
Before August.
It's the end of August, August 30th. September.
I would say, well, okay.
Everybody saw Back to the Future by that point.
What was the box office? Hold on, let me see. Quarterly, yearly. I don't even care.
Listen, they made 10 million off of 1 million, and they made 5 more of these suckers after. I think they were all right. I don't think they're
okay, here you go.
They didn't care about anybody else.
Let me help you out here. So these are all the movies that came out in August. Obviously, Back to the Future, because it was such a big movie, it filtered into that. But this is the movies that I got for release date. Boom, here we go. Movies that came out in August. So American Ninja came out on August 30th. Compromising Positions. Gremlins came out on August 30th as well. And, it's a re-release though. So that doesn't count.
Yeah. I mean,
Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf came out August 23rd. Godzilla 1985 came out August 23rd. Ghostbusters re-release August 23rd. Year of the Dragon, August 16th.
so it did all right.
Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, well,
It did 10 times its budget. It did all right.
yeah, I guess so. I would invest $1
it
million
didn't even
and
matter
told me I get
because-
9 or 10 back. So yeah.
There's 10 and a half. So it's like whoever came out, it didn't matter. They accomplished what they were going for.
All right.
Make some quick bucks and start a franchise.
And did
right?
they ever?
Oh yeah, I said 5. So now the movie starts off where Joe is basically being a jerk. You're in a military base. The movie is based in the Philippines, but they give you no information of that throughout the movie whatsoever. It's all on looking up. That's where they come up with, you find out it's the Philippines, right?
Right.
It's just a military base, obviously not in the U.S. And, you see a bunch of soldiers playing hacky sack. I don't know if you played that when you were in high school. I know people who used to do that stuff.
That was awesome.
And
He was
he didn't want to
awesome.
play. They invited him to play. He didn't want to play. The ball gets hit his way. He doesn't want to, throw it back. He's just being a jerk. He doesn't even say a word. He's just staring at him like, I'm too cool for everybody here.
It's so funny because when he actually does start having conversations with people,
yeah.
for what leads to that, to then him to be all of a sudden like, I'm your buddy.
Well, Jackson made them do that.
Well, but all the stuff that leads, I'm obviously getting ahead of this because this movie makes no sense most of the time, and the editing is terrible. Please go. I'll try to follow along. Go.
So now they're all rolling out. They're I guess they're shipping or moving some goods to a warehouse or a shipping depot. It's not really clear, but they're on a path and they get ambushed by, first it's just a couple of guys with guns.
Like a militia or something.
A militia with guns. They're going to try to steal, the goods. The general's daughter, Patricia, happens to be in a car with our friend Charlie. She's coming along for the ride. I guess she was going home.
Okay. She's just on the way.
Home. Yeah, on the way home.
Okay.
And she starts to kind of panic and she tries to escape, especially when out of nowhere ninjas appear, right? So you start off with a couple of militia guys with guns, and Joe starts beating those guys up, and then the military guys start, and then the ninjas come and cause wreck.
Yeah.
They just start wrecking everybody, right?
It's a funny scene because when Joe starts to fight,
yeah.
all the other Marine or all the other Army guys are like, "Oh yeah, we can fight back too." And then it looks like they're winning.
Yeah.
It looks like they're just like, "Oh yeah, Joe's leading us to this victory."
Yep.
And then ninjas just pop out of nowhere and just annihilate everybody but Joe.
Yeah. Now Joe is fighting off some ninjas. He gets to Patricia, who single-handedly flips her car over. Typical 80s movie. You gotta have a car flip over, right? Flips over by hitting like a tree, and she comes out all right. He runs into the jungle with her, and then a group of like a half a dozen ninjas, for whatever reason, starts to chase them into the jungle, right? And that's where we get our first little pull scene where one of the main baddies, Black Star, kind of corners the sergeant, and go ahead, play the line. Play the line. I love this line.
Who is he?
I don't know. He's a new recruit. I don't even know his name.
He possessed great skills.
Great skills. Okay.
No, I don't even know who he is. He's a new recruit.
So why do you guys trust him to drive the truck anyway? Right.
Well, why you trust him when you get to his records?
We'll get there.
Let's go.
So now Joe is running through the jungle with the daughter. And all this is going on. He hasn't said a word yet.
Yeah, and this ungrateful person, I swear.
Oh, Patricia?
Patricia's terrible.
Oh, she really is. She's like a little spoiled brat in the scene. Like, she's like, the guy's trying to save your life from ninjas.
She's complaining about her shoes.
Yeah.
She's dirty.
They jump into a river. He cuts her dress to help her move better. Now they drying off their clothes, and she gets a look at him.
No. Back up for a second.
What, you got
when
more
they're
in
getting,
there?
I should have actually pulled this. When they're getting out, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do it. When they get out of the water, she's like yelling at him.
Of course.
Like saying all kinds of like, were you trying to get me killed? What's your problem? Blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, the guy just saved your life from ninjas.
Yeah.
Ninjas.
Unbelievable.
Be grateful.
So they're drying off. She takes a look at him, and all of a sudden her tone changes. She's like, ooh, there's something here. And finally, Joe talks. Like I said, 15 minutes. He could have been a mute for all we knew.
I bet you if we add up all of his dialogue, it doesn't even hit 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Because originally he wasn't going to be anyway, we'll get to that later on. Right? So now, fast forward, they end up going back, and now Joe's in a lot of trouble, right? Because the colonel, we're going to play a couple of scenes from the colonel here. The colonel is pissed off because obviously they've been having these raids of their shipments happen a lot, and they obviously say no one's ever been killed before at a raid, but this time around people died, and the sergeant and everybody puts the blame on Joe. They're like, hey, everybody was just relaxed. They were going to just take the stuff, and then Joe starts fighting everybody off. He's taking tire irons, throwing them like ninja stars. He's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. That's why people started dying. You want to play that little clip you have here?
No, I don't, but let's do it.
Let's do it anyway.
Jackson!
Yes, sir.
Did you get a chance to check the wounds?
Yes, sir, I did.
What the hell did you find out?
Have you ever heard of ninjutsu, sir?
What's that?
The secret art of assassination.
Yeah, of course I have.
Well, according to witnesses' testimony and evidence, this massacre was the work of ninjas.
Ninjas?
Ninjas, man. You're holding it together over there? So again... So the colonel is a typical 80s. You're dying over here, ninjas.
Just go.
Okay.
Go.
So in the 80s, the boss of the protagonist has always been a ball breaker, right? Whether it's a lieutenant or a police chief, here we get the colonel. It's always the same kind of thing. Loud, yelling, Jackson or whatever. They're always yelling and they're always ball breaking. And half the time they don't know what the hell they're doing. The first thing I envision is Point Break. We're going to be doing Point Break. And what's his name in there yelling at Utah, whatever. Are you okay over there?
Utah, give me 2.
Anyway,
I'm an FBI agent.
there you go. So there's always this character in these 80s movies. Now they show us Black Star, who we saw earlier, who was leading the ninjas. He's back at his base, and he's again another typical 80s kind of thing. They show you a villain. The villains in the 80s, a lot of times they were in light cream, off-white, or white suits. If you notice, we meet Ortega here, Victor Ortega, with a horrible French accent.
He's French.
But his name is Victor Ortega. You would think he's like Hispanic, right?
The movie doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But throughout the movie, he's wearing a lot of light-colored cream suits and a lot of like a Bond villain. They always wear these white or. Do you ever notice that?
I do.
So it's typical.
But if you really want to push the barrier, at some point you have your villain just sitting by the pool with his shirt off.
They do that
eating
too.
Fruit with a stick.
They do that too here. Anyway, typical, right? It's like an 80s action movie playbook, right?
Sure.
So now he's
really
yelling.
bad.
Yeah, he's yelling at Black Star why he didn't get his shipment, and he's explaining to him that there was an American, and this is when we finally get the American Ninja talk. Here, play the scene.
Okay.
An American ninja? What are you talking about? There's no such thing.
I do not lie. I know it is death to teach the secrets to the Westerner. But I also know there was an American ninja there.
What does he say there? That death is the one that taught him?
No. So in the Asian culture, you're not back. It's obviously changed, but previously it was death to teach Westerners Eastern methods, like any kind of martial arts, any of those kind of things. It was like a big no-no to teach Westerners. Bruce Lee had an issue with this here, that where he was when he started teaching Americans in the Bay Area martial arts, it was frowned upon, and he even fought in a tournament, like a duel, and he got kind of hurt, and then that's when he created Jeet Kune Do, his own martial arts that was more inclusive. So and that was really groundbreaking for martial arts. But what Black Star is explaining to Victor Ortega is that there can't be an American ninja, because if you teach an American ninjutsu or any of those kind of arts, it's death if people find out. So he was shocked that there is actually an American ninja, which is very important. That's the name of the movie.
Okay.
Okay, now we jump back to the military base, and the sergeant and the colonel they're in the colonel's office, and again he's still hot over everything that happened, and he's like, I want to see this guy's record, and because you got to know who the hell this guy is that caused all this trouble. Joe, play the scene, and
the
we'll
greatest
talk about
record
it.
ever.
Yeah.
You have his record, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's hear it.
Yes, sir. Date of birth, unknown. Parents, unknown. Next of kin, unknown.
Construction crew found him on an island in the Pacific 6 years ago, knocked unconscious by an explosion where they were blasting a road through the jungle. Brought back to the United States with total amnesia. In and out of foster homes. Hell, he's got more last names than I can count. Here it is. I knew it. Age 16, in reform school for almost killing a man.
That's correct, sir.
6 months ago, he got in trouble again. Judge gave him a choice. Enlist or go to jail.
Was that a thing? Did they really used to do that?
Yeah, but hold on.
Jail or military?
Yeah, hold on. That whole thing doesn't make any sense at all.
None.
So how old do you think he is in this movie right now?
Well, he looks pretty young. I thought he was in his 20s, right?
You're telling me he's a teenager in this movie?
Yeah, he's like 18, 19.
No, he's not.
Yeah, a lot of guys go to the military after high school, 18, 19, 20 years old.
Okay.
So that's why because I thought it was weird, like 6 years. Because in the flashbacks, I'm like, this dude look like he's 10. You telling me he's 16 here? But he's probably, like you said, 12, 13, 14.
Dude looks like he's in his late 20s in this movie.
He might be. but
Oh dang.
we'll go with he's a young buck. He's let's say he's 20.
Okay, so
Keep
let's
it
say he's
clean.
20. So 6 years ago they found him. So
Yeah.
that would make him 14.
Yeah.
And so in and out foster care goes 16. Okay, I guess now it makes
It
sense.
makes a little sense.
Oh,
you know.
whatever, man.
But here
keep it
here
going.
the choices: jail or military.
Yeah, I think that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Mhm.
Wow.
I don't know
Why
if
would
it's- I don't know if
anybody
it's- I
take
don't think
jail?
it still is anymore, but I think it was a thing back then.
Yeah. Why would anybody ever take jail? Of course, to go to the military.
You ever seen the movie Blood In, Blood Out?
No.
Check that out.
Okay.
They might have actually changed the name because I think that was controversial name. But one of the characters in that, he goes to military school.
Oh,
Or
rather
not
than,
military, he goes to the military.
rather than prison.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it now.
If the guy who's listening to this knows better, just let me know.
Yeah, of course. Now we're ping-ponging back and forth. Now we're back to Ortega's compound, and he's greeting a couple of guests.
Mhm.
Somewhat probably from a South American country, because they're speaking Spanish, and he's giving them a nice little tour of his compound. He shows them off. He shows him some girls. He shows him his nice backyard, and like typical villain, he shows off his landscaper, his gardener. I'm like, who does that? And not only does he show off the landscaper and the gardener, he has the guy's full backstory, like right there. He tells them, "Oh, I found him here in the neighboring jungle. He was still in his old military clothes. He still thought the war was going on." I'm like, what are we talking about here? Who shows off? Like, he's showing off a business partner, his gardener. Who does that?
Guys who wear cream suits that hang out by the pool with no shirt on and eat fruit off of a stick.
And then
That
why would he-
also command a ninja army with an Hispanic name
he's
with
obviously
a French accent.
with a French accent.
This dude does.
Wouldn't you have someone who hires people to do this? Like, and then you see the gardener's face, and he's just looking. And the gardener, we saw him previously in a little flashback.
Papa Ninja.
He's Joe's adopted father,
Papa
right?
Ninja.
Who taught it, because Joe lays down in his
Also-
barracks, and he shows off, and he has a little vision of the gardener teaching him, some levels of martial arts. So
Hey,
right off the bat, we're like, whoa, what a coincidence. Joe gets stationed on an island where his father is. Isn't that so convenient? Classic 80s, right?
Gotta move the movie along.
Now
Gotta keep that plot getting crazy.
So they finish talking to looking at the gardener, because he doesn't speak. They go into their ninja training ground. They're with a lot of cool ninja obstacle course stuff, and Black Star gives a nice demonstration, kills a man, and then Ortega tells his guests it's okay because the guy he kills, it's an honor to have died in the hands of Black Star. Black Star is like a disgraced ninja, which kind of doesn't make sense because ninjas are typically assassins. They're in there for espionage. They're the opposite of a samurai. Samurais are more honorable, more, they're warriors, and ninjas are the shady characters. So you're telling me he's extra shady because he's, anyway, we'll leave that alone. Okay. Now we fast forward back. We jump back to the military base. Joe is, fixing a car, a truck or whatever.
Well, hold on. You missed the part where this is I think this is crucial, that when Joe gets back from being whatever happened to him, he
didn't get court-martialed yet.
Whatever, but everybody hates Joe.
That's where I'm talking. That's where I'm at
But
right
you're
now.
at the truck thing now.
Yeah, no.
So even when he gets into when he gets into the barracks, everyone leaves the barracks. They basically was 4 dudes to take out 1 girl.
That was way before.
Well,
we already passed that.
I'm trying to edit this movie as well as it was edited.
Nobody needs to worry about that part.
Everybody hates Joe. This is important part for me.
Yeah, no.
Everybody on the military base hates Joe.
That's where we're going with it right now. So now Joe is working on the tools, and everybody's taking a run, and everybody stops because everybody hates Joe. Charlie comes over, and Jackson's there leading the run, and he starts egging on Jackson like, hey, this is the guy. This is Joe. He's the jerk. Jackson, you should take care of this guy. Because Jackson, of course, he's a big guy. He knows some moves. he should teach Joe a lesson. And Jackson and everybody's now surrounding because everybody hates Joe. They're picking on Joe, and Jackson's trying to pick a fight with him. He finally gets Joe to kind of react to some of the stuff he's saying, and they move things over to a nice grass field where they're gonna do a little one-on-one. And Joe he's not using any martial arts that's an attack. He's using Jackson's own force, a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of judo, and he's letting Jackson like basically beat himself. Like, you know, Jackson's coming and he's just flipping him over, showing his superiority by not even attacking. Like, I can beat you without even attacking you. He gets to a point where he puts a bucket on his head, and Jackson has like a stick, and Jackson still can't hit him even with the bucket on his head.
He went all Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he does a little Luke Skywalker on, and then, you know, fight's over. Jackson now has respect for him, right? And that's when our sergeant comes over. And
Joe helps Jackson up.
Yeah, he helps
like
him
now
up.
they're buddies.
They're best friends, not
best
buddies.
Friends.
They're best 80s friends.
So I'm gonna gripe. Can I gripe?
Well, it's Sylvester Stallone and Apollo Creed right now. Rocky and Apollo Creed, they're best buddies.
Okay.
Typical 80s.
Let's say we do that. Okay,
Yeah,
let's say we do that.
They're best buddies. Go ahead with your gripe.
Okay, so why was Joe such a dickhead in the beginning of the movie then?
Because everybody hates Joe.
Nobody hated him at that time. Nobody hated him yet. They wanted to play hacky sack with him. They wanted to hang out with him. And Joe's sitting on a truck like he's a badass.
Oh, yeah.
And just treating everyone like crap.
Because he has to be
now
cool.
all of a sudden, everybody really hates him.
Oh, yeah.
And Jackson tries to beat him up. Jackson fails miserably.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, buddy, now we're friends. Now it's even weirder editing. It didn't make any sense. Like, let's move on to this next scene because I am puzzled on what happens now.
So now they're best buddies. They're working out, and Charlie is taking Patricia somewhere, and Patricia's like, this whole scene didn't make any sense either.
The whole thing doesn't make sense.
Anyway, so Patricia's like, Charlie, I need you to bring me back home because I need you to do me a favor.
But Patricia's supposed to be going to the airport to get flown back to California.
Yes.
Charles Chippers, he's supposed to be driving her back home. He's supposed to be driving her to the airport.
Yeah.
She says, no,
bring me home.
Bring me home. Then all of a sudden you go to Joe and Jackson. They just got done with a workout and they're best buddies. This looks like the same day.
It's hours apart.
There's no way it could be hours apart.
That was a joke. It was a joke, dude.
Okay, let's just say it's the next day.
Yeah.
Somehow Jackson and Charles have already had a conversation because now they're like playing lovemakers.
Yeah.
This is now a dating game.
Okay? They're wingmen.
They're the ultimate. Charles, who's a total douchebag, is now they're the three amigos now.
Yes, they are.
Makes no sense at all. But now their whole mission is to get Shy Joe a date
with Patricia. Who's supposed to be on a plane to California, but we'll leave that alone.
Nobody notices that she never got on the plane. She's still in town. The colonel doesn't even say, like, why are you still here? No. Like, there's multiple days that pass, and she's still hanging out.
She's still there.
In front of her dad.
Hey, she told him, I really want to stay here in the Philippines. I don't want to go back to California. So basically, like you said, they link them together. Joe takes...
Oh, my God. Okay, go.
Joe takes Jackson's motorcycle, jumps over the fence. Nobody notices this.
Well-placed ramp.
There's always a well-placed ramp in the 80s.
They didn't even try to hide this ramp.
No.
And that, by the way, on the landing, that bike breaks.
Yeah.
If you watch it, that thing like crumbles, and yet he's still driving on.
There's a couple.
There's a secondary bike.
There's a helmet goof in there. Helmet in one place, no helmet next. But we'll leave that alone. So now he gets to the place because what happened was Charlie told him, I need to bring this letter to a girl that likes me, but I can't leave because I have some duty. So Joe, being now a great guy, says, I'll take it for you.
He's
no
the best
problem.
This is as far as we know, this is the first conversation they've actually had, by the way.
Yeah, right.
They've never actually had a conversation.
No, because Joe never spoke.
But all he did was just talk shit about him.
Pretty much.
Well, Joe didn't. Charles did.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, he's the wingman.
So when Joe gets there, it's obviously Patricia. And of course, he's wearing his army suit. Looks good. They go on a nice little date to a restaurant. And guess who's at the restaurant? The sergeant and Ortega. And they see...
Senor Ortega.
Victor Ortega. They see them.
Led by Don Stewart.
They see Joe and Patricia having
imagine
dinner on the Colonel's dollar, by the way.
Oui. My name is Senor Ortega.
Victor Ortega.
My name is Victor Ortega.
So now the Ortega and has a plan to kill Joe while getting his next shipment from the sergeant. So now we find out the sergeant is involved with all these.
We're not going to talk about that.
Hostage.
We think Joe lost his virginity that night.
Did he? Probably.
I think he did.
Probably did. I'm actually surprised, being the 80s and it's a rated R movie, that they didn't have a love scene. I'm surprised. Because usually 80s, they always flash a boob somewhere.
I don't remember what happens in American Ninja 2, but I bet you it happens in American Ninja 2.
It's probably a new girl, though, by then. Anyway.
How much more time is left of this?
Anyway, now, well, we're almost done now. Now, so now Joe is detailed to bring a truck to a warehouse on the pier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by himself, of course. No one else with him, even though they've been having hijackings all the time. So,
maybe they took a different route. We don't know.
Okay.
Look, I'm helping. Go. I'm going to save this movie. I'm saving the integrity of this movie.
They bring him to the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
He drives to the warehouse, and of
Warehouse
course,
5.
Yeah, Warehouse 5. It's an ambush. Ninjas everywhere.
How many ninjas does he kill?
Oh, I didn't do a body count.
17 ninjas.
You counted?
He kills 17 ninjas.
Wow, impressive.
Mm-hmm.
He even kills one in a barrel that was hiding. I don't know how he knew he was in there.
That was number 13.
Oh, very good. Are you accurate? It was 17.
I don't know about that as number 13, but it was 17 ninjas.
17 ninjas. Very, very impressive. So he kills a bunch of ninjas. One of the guys who were out in front takes the truck. He gets into the truck. They destroy like a bike he commandeered from one of the henchmen. He's hiding underneath the truck. The truck goes back to Ortega's lair, right?
Senor Ortega.
Ortega goes in, looks at something. He's like, this is magnificent. It's beautiful. He walks away. Joe now goes in to see what's in there, and it's some fancy rocket launcher missile launching kind of thing
with a bread basket on it.
With a bread basket on it. Looks pretty high tech for 1985.
It's so stupid.
And of course, Joe being an expert ninja, obviously he gets caught by some random security guard. If he was a good ninja, he would be able to have done that. He was discreetly in and out, but of course he gets caught. The guy shoots.
He knew a guy.
Everybody's
hold
coming
on. He knew a guy was hiding in a barrel. And stabs the barrel because he knew that there was a dude in there, but didn't know there was a guy who was going to walk in front of the truck.
Yeah, a guard. We'll just keep going. All right. So now,
fucking Joe.
Joe is, he fights off. So he's escaping. He's running through, and he's going through the jungle. And guess who comes up? The world's greatest landscaper, aka his adopted father. You gonna play that scene?
Papa Ninja.
Papa Ninja.
Papa Ninja.
Who are you?
You will know when the time is right. Our paths will meet again.
What do you mean?
Your karma and mine, they are connected.
Yes. So Joe encounters, at this time he doesn't know that that's his adopted father, Shinuki, or Papa Ninja. Right? Now, Joe finds his way, the path that he told him to go to obviously was great. He gets back to the base, but MPs are ready for him right at the gate of the military base because they're blaming him that maybe he's part of the smuggling ring. And he's been there, maybe a week? But for whatever, they're like, oh, he probably sold the truck himself.
Nobody knows how much time is actually spent on this island because the editing is just really bad.
Yeah, they don't give you too much information. They don't even tell you they're on the Philippines. You gotta, it's later on you're looking up that information. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so Joe now, they lock him up for smuggling, or whatever the charge is for losing this truck. Because he tries to say, hey, I got ambushed by ninjas. They're not trying to hear that. So this is all part of that plan.
Right.
So
do they say anything about like the dead bodies that are laying around in the Warehouse 5?
That's the police's job, I guess. Not the military's job. That's the Philippines
Jackson
police.
needs to go out there with his detective skills.
Yeah, and say this was ninjutsu.
This was ninjutsu. You ever heard of the art of ninjutsu?
Yeah, right.
Well, of course I have, Jackson.
So Ortega, tells Black Star to go and kill Joe. Now Black Star is going to go do his ninja thing and go and assassinate Joe in his prison cell.
I did actually enjoy that scene when he kind of sneaking in.
Yeah, that
when he sneaks in like the ninja
style.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was done pretty well.
Yeah, he kills a ton of military personnel, but he falls for the Ferris Bueller, pillows under the sheets gag, and he stabs it like he thought, what? Who sleeps with the complete thing, everything over them like that, right? Why does that always work in movies? Anyway, he stabs the pillows, and then Joe is like hiding behind something, and
he's like in the shower section of his jail cell. Yeah,
pretty nice cell that has a shower.
Yeah.
So they obviously start to fight. He's handling his own. The fight leaks outside. Again, handling his own with the Black Star Ninja, and he actually Black Star gets the advantage, and he's about to kill Joe, and that's when the military, puts a light on, starts shooting him, and Joe gets to escape. Right?
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, when the MPs show up, all of them die but one. Black Star kills all of them but one. So that guy actually has information.
That's a good point.
Because he actually sees what's happening and goes, hey, there was this dude that was dressed in black that, remember those ninjas we've been like worrying about?
Yeah.
Well, it looked like they were trying to kill Joe. No, that's never said.
Never said.
Information not passed on.
So Joe gets to a point. He sees a military personnel. He has a star stuck in his head, right? Like dead on the floor.
Right.
And Jackson's running around the corner. He grabs Jackson and he's like, yo, they tried to kill me, the whole thing. And Jackson's like, dude, and
then he's like, and then I'm like,
I'm trying to talk like 80s bro talk, like, so now I kind of forgot now. Is it Jackson that recommends he goes to the colonel? Or because Joe at this time, it tells Jackson that the sergeant is involved, right?
Right.
So they're like chain of command. I want to say they talk about chain of command here, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna tell the colonel, he's gonna believe us, or do they? Is it Patricia who convinces them to talk to the colonel? Anyway.
They're at the colonel's house.
Yeah, the three of them go to the colonel's house now.
Yeah.
To tell the colonel that the sergeant's involved. They're smuggling goods. They just tried to assassinate Joe.
Right.
All this stuff. The colonel is like unbelievable. He's like, I'm gonna make a phone call. And at this time, the three heroes think like, oh, it's all resolved. The colonel's like talking to somebody. You can't hear the conversation.
Daddy Colonel's gonna save the day.
Save the day. So he hangs up. Then all of a sudden, half of the military who's not been killed by ninjas come into the house and they surround Joe and they're like, arrest this man. The colonel says this man tried to escape. He killed a guard. There was basically no evidence of ninjas.
And that's when Patricia finds out the true backstory of Joe is that Joe's a criminal and has a criminal background. And she just distraught. Yep. She can't believe that her perfect Joe would have been in trouble prior to that. Yes. So she kind of just scampers off, runs away.
Yeah. And then
some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life,
of course.
By the way.
And then Jackson, he could have gotten court-martialed for this. He kind of helps Joe Joe jumps out the window and a guy's about to shoot Joe and he kind of like does a little karate move.
Does he?
I don't remember that. You didn't see that?
No, I think I fell asleep.
And then he catches it and he's like, oh, sorry. Like it was an accident thing. Joe escapes. He gets into this is the cool. You have to have a high speed chase in an 80s movie, but it's with these Jeeps that are going 5 miles an hour.
And also they kept going around these roundabouts.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yes, I did. Like they ran, it was like New Jersey.
Like the street just ran on. Like, oh, this is a dead end. Good thing there's a roundabout. Now we're going the other way now.
New Jersey's full of roundabouts. I hate roundabouts, dude. Like you can't.
You're in Santa. You live by a roundabout now.
I do, and I hate it. I hate the roundabout I live in. But in Jersey, you can't like make left turns. You got to do roundabouts or jug handles, and it's freaking annoying. Anyway, so now Joe's in one car that he commandeered. He's racing through, and the sergeant gets in on another one with one of the MPs, and he's like, follow that guy, whatever, the typical, let's chase him down. Because the sergeant, obviously his hands are dirty, right?
Right.
This chase scene is brutally, they try to make it like it's fast paced, but it's very slow. Like, it's like they were in golf carts to me. That's how slow it's going. And then the sergeant gets pissed off at the guy driving, kicks him out of the vehicle so he can drive.
Luckily, they weren't going that fast. So the guy just kind of just ran off.
Yeah, it's like 5 miles
ran
an
out
hour.
the Jeep. He didn't tumble roll. He just could have just ran right off.
I'm telling you, those are like go-karts, golf carts.
But okay, but then we get to the most exciting part of the entire movie.
Oh.
One of the most exciting parts.
Did you? So there's a little hill. I'm gonna call it for what it is. There's a little hill. It's smaller than a hill. Hey, let's really bring it back to the 80s. When you were a kid, I don't know about in California. There's a lot of hills here. At recess time, did any kids used to like roll down the hill? Do you remember doing any of that?
No, man.
We used to roll down the hill. Okay, and like
no, we were like playing soccer. We were on like a jungle
we
gym
would roll
and
down
stuff.
hills, man. We would. I don't know why.
Swings.
We would literally roll down the hill, like you're straighten your body and just roll. Right.
That's what you guys did over there, huh?
Yeah, that's what we did as kids. So this is a small little hill.
New Jersey.
It was New York. The guy goes over. The sergeant goes over this little ledge with his Jeep, a 4-wheel drive Jeep. And he screams as if he's falling into the Grand Canyon, the whole nine. And then they cut, and you see it's like a slow roll. He runs into
it's not
a
even
tree.
Like, it's not even a full blown tree. It's like one of those trees you're either trying to nurse back to health with like the sticks on the side of it to hold it like so, or it's like a baby tree. I don't know what it was, but it was not a full fledged tree. But somehow when he hits this thing,
Jerry Bruckheimer level of explosion.
Yeah, and you think he had like some C4 in there.
Exactly.
And like the gas tank was already lit on fire.
It explodes like an epic, like ridiculous. I hated the giant explosions they did on those Pirates of Caribbean movies on these pirate ships. Like they were nukes. This is that level of explosion. It's like giant nuke.
At least in those, it looked like it was somewhat in place of like what was happening in the film.
Yeah.
Like that just came out of nowhere. I was expecting him like, oh, he's gonna hit this little thing and then like maybe hits his head on the steering wheel.
Yeah, he's not wearing a
gets all
seatbelt.
mad, just starts running after him or something, or passes out. Nope.
Full blown nuke.
He dies in an explosion.
Full blown. So I thought it was of all the scenes, I thought that was the most ridiculous. I know there's the blueprint they're following in these 80s movies. You got to have some kind of a chase. I get it, but the round it was horrible. I'll just say that it was horrible.
Oh man.
So now
we're almost there, dude. Just keep going.
Okay.
Just keep going.
So now this is when we get the big reveal about because we're back to the Colonel's house, and who pulls up is Mr. Victor Ortega himself.
Right.
And he meets the general at the door, and while they're walking away in, he turns around and Black Star creeps out of the back seat and to go do some ninja stuff. He goes upstairs and he basically knocks out Patricia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he takes her, but
kidnaps her.
He kidnaps her, right?
But what the most revealing part of this scene is that you find out that the Colonel's in on it.
Yeah,
the entire time.
We're about to hear this conversation.
Yeah, let's listen to this conversation because probably my most gripes with this entire movie is this scene right here.
You can't risk it. We're not shipping it out. What about the people you're trying to help? Have you forgotten about them like their own government has? Without this shipment, their country could fall to the communists. One more domino down. Who knows what country will be next?
It stops now, Victor. Maybe later when things calm down, but now we must stop.
Let me tell you something, my friend. For me, this is not a private crusade for a noble cause. I stand to make $4 million on this deal. 4! And no one is going to stop me from collecting it. No one. I give the orders here, Victor, not you! What are you going to do? Call out your troops? Create an international incident? It would be very easy for me to reveal your part in this to your daughter. What would your precious daughter think of you then, huh?
Snuffed him.
Just punched him in the face. Okay, so let's regroup here for a second. So we find out that the Colonel's been in on it the entire time.
But at least you get his motivation behind. They kind of make him a little sympathy because he's trying to fight communism.
Sure, okay, I
Sometimes.
understand that, but there's a bunch of scenes in the movie where it's kind of like, then why didn't you have a different conversation? So when you're with the sergeant,
Yeah.
like after you find out that Joe, did all that stuff at the beginning of the movie,
Yep.
why weren't you just talking to the sergeant? Like, when you guys are when they're by themselves, why aren't they having like an actual real conversation of, hey man, we got to take care of this guy because he's going to basically,
mess up our operations.
They're both acting like this is like.
Or how about in that first conversation, why did the ninjas chase my daughter? That's not part of our agreement.
Right?
That should be right there too. Like, even if you want to hide that reveal for the viewers, right, and say they had those conversations off camera, but the conversation they did have on camera didn't make sense either.
Yeah, it didn't.
To say like, oh, they had this conversation on camera, but then off camera they had a different conversation that made more sense. None of it made sense. You're spot on. It's such a big gaffe in this. Like seriously, like you would be like, why would they chase my daughter into the jungle?
Right?
In the jungle. None of that made any sense.
It didn't.
It didn't sense. So Ortega's obviously out for money. That makes sense for him, and he's funding, rebel organizations to fight communism through their weapons. I get it, but we fast forward now. Let's move on. Okay.
Wait. Also, hold on. There's more to that. So then,
What?
when you reprimand Joe, you just put him on a leave of suspension, right?
Which time?
I mean, I think the first time it wasn't a leave of suspension when it was like, he kicks him out of the office, and then that's when he gets
puts him on garbage duty.
Garbage duty.
Yeah.
But if the dude just killed like, a bunch of people like on the other side,
Yeah.
you'd think they would have tried to eliminate him right then and there, or just kicked him out of the army completely, or sent him packing. There's multiple different ways they could have handled Joe, as opposed to you're on trash detail now, and then you're not going to drive a truck anymore, and then you end up driving a truck again within like 15 minutes later into the movie.
Yeah. It's really bad, especially because once it's revealed, like they could have left it as the sergeant was in on the plot and everything would have made sense. But once you put the colonel in there, it just unravels your story. But again, these movies weren't for stories; they were just for.
But at the same time, like these are the moments where I just envision a conversation happening with like a producer and a director and then the writer, like after the film's either being edited or it's supposed to be edited or whatever the case is. Somebody must look at the other person and go, this doesn't make sense. And then someone else must look at the guy and goes, but that's okay. It's an action movie. Or they're just that stupid and they don't realize it doesn't make any sense.
No, they know it makes sense. And instead of saying it's okay, it's an action movie, it's like, listen, this movie's made for meatheads. It's a man movie. They're not going to care. That's the way it rolls. I'm pretty sure that's probably how it rolls.
All right. Let's just keep on rolling then. Let's roll to the next scene.
So now he takes, this is a bigger thing I have a problem with now, right? He takes the daughter, right? Ortega, Black Star takes the daughter. He never communicates this to the general because he's driving away and he's like, he tells his guys, we're gonna still move on with the exchange tomorrow.
Yeah, what was the point?
Yeah, he never says. They never tell anybody. He could have just took the daughter. He's like, we're gonna go with the plan tomorrow morning, and because now we have insurance.
Yeah, a better move would have been Black Star coming downstairs while he's holding Patricia, and then you see Ortega go, just to make sure that the deal is going to happen tomorrow, I'm going to have your daughter and hold her as a hostage. So don't get any funny business of coming in with a bunch of Jeeps with guns and other soldiers that want to help out.
That's exactly what happens.
To make sure that doesn't happen. Exactly, right? I don't even think he knows the daughter's there.
It makes no sense.
For all he knows, the daughter just like, maybe Joe came back and got the daughter and now they're like off doing something else. He has no idea that Ortega
could have ran off with Joe.
Unless I fell asleep in that point and he actually does call him.
I noted it. I was like, he never tells him like, I have your daughter. Anyway.
No, it is in the French accent. I have your daughter.
Joe goes back into Ortega's base. I don't know for what. Obviously, he doesn't know that they took Patricia, right?
I did actually think that because he was standing on top of like the guard shack, I think, or something like that. And the car does, with the daughter, drive by him.
Oh, you think he saw?
But he was already there. His intentions was to go there, but I don't know if he actually saw
because he
or
saw
not.
Ortega leave. Maybe we'll give him that.
But
Maybe
even if he saw Ortega leave, there's no way he would have got there before the car.
Yeah.
Well, he is a ninja.
He's a ninja. So he goes back to the base.
That vanishing move. Maybe
and he's sneaking around in the base, taking people out. And guess who comes up? It's
Shinuki.
Shinuki is back. Papa Ninja grabs him and says, "Listen, come into my place. I gotta talk to you." His room.
Yeah, you have I think he says it's time for you to remember.
Yeah, it's time for you to remember.
Yes,
that's exactly the line. So now he tells him, "I am your father. I found you as a very little kid."
Not true.
I found you as a little kid. I've taught you the way of the ninja. I've taught you Bushido, all that good stuff. Time for me to give you your final lesson. And I think we actually have the clip. Let's listen to this. Is our last clip to play.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
A Kobodera, ninja magic, Intong Jutsu, the ability to seem invisible to cause fear and paralysis in your enemies. You are ready, my son. I will be with you indeed and in my heart. Follow the Bushido.
I will honor the code, Father.
Beware the Black Star Ninja. He has taken the dark path and has betrayed the code.
Then he must die.
Okay,
man.
Hold on, before you go your whole thing. That's another thing I got to think of. Like, how many takes did they do before they went? That's the take.
What do you mean
with Joe?
Oh,
like
he has 15 lines in this whole movie.
I know, but they couldn't have all been done in one. Like, there must have been worse takes than the takes they actually used.
Oh man, now you got me thinking about that.
I will
You're probably
honor the
right.
Code, Father.
I will honor the code.
I'm sorry. Okay, I know you. I think you have a rant to
well,
start.
yeah, because they're ninjas. Ninjas do not follow the Bushido, right? That's for samurais. I think I mentioned it earlier. Samurais are warriors.
I missed that documentary. Was that the one that was next to the fungus on Netflix?
Ninjas are more espionage, assassins. Their code is a lot more sketchy than the Bushido, right? Which is more of honor and things like that. So that the fact that they're merging these two things is, I'll let it slide. I mean, again, I'll just leave that alone. But now they talk about the aspect of ninjas, the fear and the paralysis. That is a real thing, right? We won't go too deep into that, but we do kind of see a little bit of ninja magic at the end, right? When he kind of disappears, but we'll get to that. So now Joe is full-blown ninja now. He has his black uniform, and Papa Ninja has his uniform on. They're ready to go to town. Now it's morning, early morning, I will say. The Colombians have flown in to do the exchange, the $4 million. You see the truck. And
with inflation, I should look that up. With
how
inflation,
much is that?
How much would that be today? You keep going. I'm gonna look that up.
I'll keep going. You do that, right? So now they're about to do the exchange, and boom, Joe shows up, full ninja, and nobody knows who it is. Is that one of yours? No, it's the American Ninja. They're doing their little fight scenes, and then Papa 1985.
1985. Okay.
Papa Ninja comes, so now the two of them are handling all the ninjas. The Colombians are staring like, should we leave? And then Ortega's like, no, the fights are going on. And then the military comes through. You get the classic Rambo Jackson. He's wearing his bandana. He has a cool uniform. He has a minigun. Charlie's driving. He has a bandana. Everybody they're in there and they're killing everybody. And it's just pure fun action. Bullets missing everybody on the ground. Typical 80s. It was just good, hard fun, right?
Right.
Papa Ninja. Was it Black Star? Somebody is about to.
It's Black Star.
Black Star is about to throw something at Joe, but Papa Ninja gets hit himself. He disappears.
No, but it's weird. Hold on. So, but Joe throws his vanishing, he throws his powder down like he's gonna vanish.
Yeah.
Papa Ninja vanishes from his section, and somehow vanishes in front of Joe. So Joe never actually moves out of his smoke that he creates.
No.
It was a very weird scene.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know it was Black Star because that's the only way I was kind of like, well, maybe because the Ninja Star was thrown by Black Star that it was thrown so fast that Joe wouldn't have been able to block it or dodge it because you remember in the beginning of the movie, Joe was like people are shooting arrows and throwing stuff at him. He's just like blocking them like no problem at all with a shovel handle.
Yep.
So I would have thought that maybe
Black
Papa
Star,
Ninja didn't need to sacrifice himself right there, but
he takes one for the son.
If you're trying to get an Academy Award, you got to kill someone important, and I think this was their their one shot. Like if we have something tragic happen to Papa Ninja, then maybe we'll get a nomination.
Maybe. So Black Star kills the gardener. How much is the inflation?
The inflation is, I mean, it's mud. I mean, so now instead of them, look at it this way. So instead of them fighting over or trying to make $4 million, they're trying to make $11 million.
That's it?
It doesn't seem like that would fly in a movie today. It seems like it would have to be in like the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, it would.
But it's $11 million.
Yeah, it doesn't. That doesn't hold up.
That buys you. That buys you a decent house in California now. The way the house prices are and stuff. Yeah. Half of it gets taxed. Like, I made $11 million. But
Ortega ain't paid no taxes on that.
I got like 5.5 now. I put that on a house, get a really nice one for 3. So now I got 2 left over. Put that in the bank. Live off the inflation of that for all the interest rates.
Your financial podcast will be out soon.
Yeah, but what about all my other minions? Well, we'll have Black Star just assassinate them.
And it'll be an honor for Black Star to kill them. It'll be an honor
for all of them to die. So I just made this $11 million.
So now Black Star, so the Colombians now finally decide to leave. Ortega's not having it. He kills both of them, right? Takes the money. They bring out the daughter. Black Star runs off. Joe's chasing him. They go through what I call a ninja obstacle course, that whole training grounds.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing the ninja obstacle course. Jackson, meanwhile, he's out off, his shirt's off.
Oh,
he goes into a fight with a fake bolo.
He looks like a badass. Let's just say that. He looks like a badass. I'll tell you right now, that he must have done like 50 push-ups before that first scene was done. You got to make sure everything's looking good before we get on that. And I'd work out with him.
Yeah.
I think I would learn something from him.
He beats Black Bolo. Now, fake Bolo. What did I say? Black Bolo? He's Black Rambo who beats fake Bolo. That's the correct way of putting it. Okay, so now Joe and Black Star, they're doing their thing. Black Star has a flamethrower in one arm, right? He tries to burn Joe. Then he has a laser. Where the hell did the laser come from? Breaks a nice potted plant that Papa Ninja obviously curated and put there.
What's that? Oh,
with the laser.
That's right.
Okay, because Joe moves from the laser.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know how he knew that. He just pointed out. I guess he just, let's move. I don't know what's coming out. They fight. They're on the roof now. They fight. They get down into the water pond thingy that
I love how you
curated again.
The play-by-play is amazing.
Joe finally kills him, but now Ortega has Patricia the money. They get into a helicopter. Joe, who runs and catches on to the helicopter.
Hold on. We forgot about the Colonel.
Oh, the
Colonel shows up. Yeah. Like the Colonel's already like he was part of that militia or whatever that entered in with Jackson.
Yeah,
and you didn't really point him out until this scene where he's running to the helicopter,
and he gets one.
Yeah, and then he yells at Ortega. I forget what he says. It wasn't that memorable, obviously. And then Ortega takes him out.
Yeah,
basically caps him in front of the daughter.
Yeah, in front of the daughter, the military, everybody.
There with the Colonel. There's extra money that he doesn't have to share now.
No, he's keeping all that money.
Keeping all that money.
Sergeant's dead, Colonel's dead.
Yes, remember, because when they're in the helicopter, he tells the helicopter pilot, let's wait for Black Star.
Yeah, I give him credit for that. I give him points for that.
He was waiting for his main number one.
Yeah, he's like, wait for Black Star.
Off.
Yeah, he's like, wait for the Black Ninja. Yeah. Right? That's what he says, Black Star, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So now Joe holds on to the helicopter. Ortega tries to get out of the helicopter and shoot him while they're in the air. Jackson, meanwhile, runs into the van. Yeah, so he gets the missile launcher, right?
With the bread basket.
He aims it and he's like telling Joe, get out of there, get out of there. Ortega is obviously missing.
He's willing Joe.
Yeah, he's willing Joe. Yeah. He's like missing Joe. Ortega's missing shooting him. Joe now opens the other door. Did you see Patricia's face? She's just sitting there like waiting for a joyride. She's shocked that Joe's there. She grabs her. They jump down on the roof on a nice pad that you can kind of see in the movie, which is pretty lame.
That's what bugged me about the movie.
Yeah, pretty lame.
It's the pad.
And then Jackson fires a rocket, and it again. beautiful explosion for the 1980s. Helicopter goes up in the smokes with the $4 million. Everything's gone. And then Joe walks over the edge of the roof, throws down Patricia to Jackson, who catches her perfectly.
Like a badass.
Yeah. And then you get Joe staring into nothing for no reason. Again, cool, mean jerk Joe, that jerk Joe stare. Then they give you the classic kind of MASH pull out camera angle. You see everybody, the wreckage, and you get your ending title treatment.
It felt like it was unfinished. Didn't it feel like there should have been at least a conversation that happened after?
Nope.
There's no dialogue.
Nothing.
There's no dialogue. I think maybe the last piece of dialogue was, "Come on, Joe, get out of there." That might have been it. I don't think there was anything else that was said because Joe jumps out with Patricia. Jackson blows up the helicopter.
Yeah.
They land down on the top of the building.
Who's going to explain all this when when the military comes in? Wait, the sergeant's dead, the colonel's dead.
It seems like they were kind of running loose over there anyways. I don't think they had a lot of people like looking over their shoulders. Yeah, they've had full autonomy to do whatever I guess they wanted to do. But that's how the movie ends.
That's how the movie ends. Did you look up the body count for body count in this movie?
Was I supposed to? Was that
no? I have the number.
You have the number.
It.
Oh, I'll look. Okay.
I'm gonna ask you. What's the body count?
I got this.
What's your guess?
Let me play the whole movie in my head.
I'll give you plus or minus 10.
57.
114.
That's impossible. That's impossible.
Wait a minute. He killed 17 ninjas.
I counted those 17.
Well, what about the ninjas in the beginning?
I counted them.
All the ninjas and the military guys at the end.
And the military guys in the beginning.
Yeah.
The ninja guys like...
It adds up, man. The colonel. 114.
So how long is the movie?
The movie was like 90-something minutes, 96
So that
minutes.
means an average of a person and a half died every minute of this movie.
Classic 80s, man. That's what
God.
So you again, this was when I was young. I loved this movie. I was all into it. My father's a black belt. My nephew Zach, he's a black belt. I was big into Ninja Turtles. I did some martial arts myself.
Mm-hmm.
So at that age, I really enjoyed this movie at the time. But now I'm gonna ask you, does it still hold up?
Are we that far yet? We're not going to do spin-offs or...
They had 5 of these. We don't need any more spin-offs.
I would give Jackson a spin-off.
He was in like three of the next 5.
I would like to see what he does afterwards, though. Like his next assignment, like his next base that he works on is like he's got to be bored off his mind. Like,
unfortunately,
there ain't no ninjas over here, man.
He passed away of cancer around the 5th movie, where they're kind of like passing the torch to a younger ninja. Because actually Michael Dudikoff, he does the second one. He does a cameo in the 3rd, and then he comes back, I think, in the 4th, and in the 5th, it's the guy Bradley who replaces him in the 3rd who does the 5th, and he's in the 4th as well. So it's a little weird.
I will say this though,
but Jackson's in some of those.
Before me actually saying if this still holds up or not, it does. Watching this movie, it makes me want to watch the other ones just to see how more ridiculous they can get. How it evolves. Do they get any better? Is the storytelling better? Is that now they have a bigger budget? Do they care more? Did what's his name get acting lessons?
It clearly peaks and then goes down in terms of, from what I remember. The 5th one was pretty bad. Anyway,
okay,
most of them were pretty bad.
All right. So as far as does it still hold up for me?
Yeah.
No, it does not hold up. This movie does not hold up at all, and. It sucks because I know that I watched this movie a couple times, when I was a kid. I obviously, like I said, I blacked it out. I don't remember what happened. I know I've seen this movie, but I don't remember it, but I know I've seen it. And for the better, I guess, for me blacking that out, because I would have been okay with not knowing the truth. Okay? Like, I don't need to know about the truth of Santa and the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
So the same thing that applies to
some of the movies we watched when we were kids.
Now, there was definitely, I think you tighten up some of obviously the plot holes we're talking about, you tighten up the directing of it, you tighten up, the acting.
Yeah.
The idea
the
of
choreography of the fights, you put a little John Woo in there.
You know what? The choreographed fights actually
kind of slow, some of them.
It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. I was anticipating more like a one-punch kind of move.
Oh, okay.
They did some blocks and stuff. There was some more like, stuff in the modern.
Because Michael Dudikoff, he was, First, he wasn't who their first choice to do the movie.
What?
It was Chuck Norris, but Chuck Norris didn't want to hide his face behind the mask, I guess, for whatever
no
reason.
mask can hide Chuck Norris's face. Haven't you heard these tales?
So they wanted
masks hide behind Chuck Norris's face.
I like those missing in action movies he did in the 80s. I haven't watched them in a while.
I don't think I've seen those.
You know what? We're going to add it to the list at some point. We're going to do some of those.
Yay.
See if they still hold up, because I have fond memories of them. But Michael Dudikoff, he didn't know martial arts. Jackson did, right? But I said Jackson like that's his real name. Steve James did. Okay. But so Dudikoff, for not knowing martial arts, did a pretty good job. I think Jean-Claude Van Damme originally didn't know martial arts either. He was a gymnast or something like that.
Yeah.
But he made it work as well. So so the fight scenes were okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But, other than that, I mean, yeah, the idea of the movie, I think, was solid.
Yes, because it's an American ninja. It's not something you see.
Right, especially in that time. Like what you were talking about before, it was like it was frowned upon to teach,
Westerners.
But to answer the question, no, this movie does not hold up.
For me, it only holds up if I was 8 or 10 years old back in the 80s and 90s. That's what it doesn't hold up now as you rewatch it, because it's, a lot of ridiculous things in there, and it was only $1 million budget. I don't know how that, levels off in that time. 85 is that typical movie, but I'll say this: I wouldn't mind a modern remake.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
You could really do it properly, with a better acting, better story, the whole concept. Because
who would you have play the American Ninja?
That's
Jason Statham.
No. I don't know the young guys now, but it would definitely, I would want to be a young guy, because you could build a franchise on it. And because it's not only the factor of an American ninja itself is kind of like such a dated thing. Like, you don't even hear people talking about that kind of stuff. Like a ninja in the 2020s would be a really cool novel idea. Then to throw the fact that he's an American ninja, that would be pretty cool.
I think it would be awesome. Like, even if you had like a fan film made of this. No, I'm serious, because I see so many things. Like, if you go on YouTube and stuff, all these guys who are able to choreograph Jedi scenes, like to emulate what's happened in the prequels and stuff. Like, there's so many guys out there choreographing some stuff that's actually amazing. That's a lot better than what you see in movies today.
Hey,
if you give them the reins, let them kind of do their own thing. Still maybe have a cheeseball B-rated movie as far as like, the quality of that, but then you throw in some top-notch action. I think you got some quality. I mean, I'd watch that.
Hey.
If I just watched this and even though all my gripes, I mean, I enjoyed it. It doesn't hold up.
No.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
No.
But I would enjoy a fan made. You know what? Let me see if there's a fan made movie.
People would enjoy this under the right circumstances. Snacks, some smoke in the air. So I can see a certain type of venue in a room where people would enjoy this for a lot of things, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those kind of movies that you would enjoy watching it under heightened senses. But if there is somebody who's going to do a fan film, I want to be in it. I can't be Jackson. I'm not that ripped or anything like that, but I could be an extra in the background. I could do a cheesy line or two.
Oh yeah. I would do that.
Yeah.
I'd be maybe like the waiter shows up. So you have a phone call, and they're like, why is someone calling here? Why aren't they calling my cell phone? Oh yeah.
All right. Let's end this.
Let's wrap this up. So does it hold up for you?
No.
Right. Okay, so we got two thumbs down on this one.
Yeah, no. It's like I said.
No one saw that coming.
A 10-year-old me in the 80s and 90s would have still enjoyed this, because you have no other reference point, right?
Sure.
But like I said, I wouldn't mind a modern remake. I would look for that. So we're looking forward. We're gonna be doing I think Star Wars next. We're gonna do the first prequels.
Wait, Pat Morita's in American Ninja 5?
Yes, he is.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, now I just want to jump all the way to that one.
Oh, okay.
That must have been like around. No, it's in 1993. So
yeah,
he was around. I think he passed away in 2004. So he was still around.
Yeah, he was still around. But trust me, I don't think you want to go down that path. There's other things.
I kind of have to now. Now I'm just gonna have to. right.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing Star Wars because Steve James died in '93.
Oh, okay.
He passed away with cancer. So that's pretty sad. But yeah, our next episodes are going to be doing the first episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars. Then we're going to get into it's going to be Oscar season, so we're going to do some Oscar movies. You know, we're going to go back in time to enjoy some or not enjoy some of these winners and non-winners that probably should have won. But we'll dive into that.
Yeah.
Anything else before we end?
No, I think that's it.
You're going to join any martial arts? I think there's a martial arts studio nearby.
Not joining that one.
A couple of doors.
Nope.
All right. I guess nothing else to say. American Ninja. Sorry. Doesn't hold up.
Nope. Alrighty. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks to our patron producer, Knight Rider 169. Music composed by Jason Zaffrey. Additional bed music composed by Kyle Torme. Thanks for listening to this episode of Still Holds Up, a Rot Your Brain podcast. Subscribe to the Still Holds Up podcast feed at rotyourbrainmedia.com/stillholdsup. Follow us on Twitter at rot_yourbrain and support Rot Your Brain Media and its podcast by being a part of this exciting new and growing community. Visit patreon.com/rotyourbrainmedia.